Hey, my loves. Hi, my beautiful friends, light workers, healers, empaths. I just had a really wonderful conversation with such a gifted, intuitive woman who's been feeling all the heaviness and truly, really is feeling like what I felt a few couple years ago with trauma and with PTSD. So sometimes being an empath is an incredible gift. Like we can feel, see, sense, know everything. Yeah, we come home exhausted hanging out with people. Hi, Barbara. Hi, everybody. If you're watching the replay, big hugs. So I remember shopping around the malls when I was 13 and being like, oh my God, get me home. I feel like I'm dying. I cannot be around all these people, not knowing and understanding what was going on. I thought something was wrong with me. To really, really thriving today as an empath, making it my full-time career, getting to help people with it. So I have some tips. I want to have a discussion and a conversation today, super quick, because I just hung up with this beautiful lady, and the thing is, you guys, like we've been empaths our whole lives, and the reason why trauma affects empaths way more than people who are not empathetic, and by the way, trauma is not just coming back from a war zone. Okay, it's definitely the worst, but trauma can happen because we don't understand the event. We were too young to really give it an interpretation that that wasn't traumatic, and then we either felt everything so much more than people. So here's why you may truly really need help with PTSD, even though you're like, why do I need it? I haven't had anything really traumatic happen. Surgery can create PTSD. Mild car accidents, anything that felt sudden, unexpected, and that was not fully comprehended or explained, it becomes a floating memory in your brain. So a floating memory is something that just keeps, your brain hasn't really filed it. It hasn't given it a date. So it continues to kind of be this thing that your nervous system is continuing to experience, even though it's in the past. So the way that I described it was, you're still on the treadmill. Your mind is continuing to use the pictures of the past to create the future. Oh, we were rejected. We were not safe then. We're not going to be safe later. So let's freeze. Let's not have you do anything. Let's keep you at home and hide. Okay, that's kind of what PTSD can create. But here's the thing about an empath, you guys. So you may be one, you may know someone who's one, but when an empath is around other people, there is no boundary energetically. So we feel everybody's emotions. We feel our emotion, but we feel everybody's emotion as our own. And our perception is heightened. That means that we registered, we recorded, I don't know the percentage, but we have much higher percentage of everything that was going on that day when the whatever happened. We remember the smells, we remember the touches, we remember the words, the sounds, the energy in the room. We are going to remember everything, and everything's going to feel very, very much like you're in a movie, those 3D movies. And so an empath just is super aware of everything. Does that make sense? Does that resonate with anyone? So don't beat yourself up if you're like, I'm a healer in this world. I'm an intuitive healer, or I'm a spiritual person. I've done all this work on myself. The reason it hasn't healed is because either you're not using the right tool, right? You're not using the right tool to heal the problem. You're using tools that are not meant to heal the way the brain was affected by the trauma. And so don't beat yourself up. And if you're an empath, it's going to come into you. The effect of the events are going to come into you like supersonic clear. Like it's like those HD TV screens now, right? Like everything is crystal freaking clear. And you remember everything about it. The noise, the way the glass broke, the way the car hit the other car, it's all very, very real in your mind. And the mind still thinks you're stuck in that movie theater watching the movie theater. Okay, just so you know. So it isn't really that there's anything wrong with you, is that you have a gift, and this gift eventually becomes good for you. So other people who've had the same exact experience, it hit them here. They were like, okay, that sucked. but it didn't hit him here. It hit him over here. So the trauma wasn't quite as much, right? It still affected them. But let's say people who can smoke and drink and party and kind of take on that energy, and they're like, yeah, I don't care. They can do things to their bodies because they don't feel it quite as much. But when you're someone who's gravitating towards meditating and connecting to the light, you have felt all trauma 1,000,000% more than most people who maybe aren't quite as empathetic or have as much sensitivity. Okay. So it's very possible that the reason why you feel stuck, the reason why you feel like I'm stuck, I don't want to move, I'm not able to move and do the work I want to do, is because of some floating memories that need to be addressed. And I'll tell you how to do that in a minute. The other piece of it is a gift to be ultra sensitive, to perceive, sense, know, and feel things more. Like, it's such a gift to be able to know, okay, show me, universe, if I go here, how am I going to like it? If I go there, how am I going to like it? If I choose which door is going to feel the best for me. And then we get to really go up to higher frequency, and then from our meditation, imprint and program our beautiful reality with ideal outcomes. So we don't have to hustle and be all the time in 3D, all the time like trying to make things work. We can use our gifts to go up and to choose a different outcome. So it becomes a gift when you know how to use it, right? So when I was talking to this beautiful lady today, we realized that like some of the way she's been feeling and the heaviness can be because of unresolved trauma still floating in her mind and her nervous system. And that she, it wasn't, the universe didn't create us ultra sensitive by accident. The universe created us as empaths for a reason. We're here for a specific mission, purpose, even if the purpose at the moment is just to heal your body, is just to heal your mind. But there is a calling and there is a reason. So as much as I was loving being on the phone with her, and some of her beliefs were like, the world is too much, I want to stop all this. I'm like, yeah, but you ended up on the phone with someone like me. Like, how did you end up on the phone with someone like me if you want to hide? Like, that doesn't work, right? So your soul, the spirit, something wanted you to connect so we could have this conversation. And maybe there's 80%, like in all of us, you guys, we have an 80% ratio, like 80-20. 80% wants to hide, 80% is too tired, 80% doesn't want to face the world. And then 20% wants to be in the world, sharing her gift and being in contact and actually feeling called to shift. So that can actually pivot. All right, you guys. So one of the fastest way I completely healed PTSD out of my body that I still carried around from being in France, from having stuff happen in France, and then leaving France and completely forgetting about it. And then when I moved back to France, it all came back up. So I used a method called TAPAS, T-A-T. I also did some EMDR, which helped for sure. I did brain spotting, which helped for sure. But what I found complicated with those methods is I had to wait to book an appointment with the practitioner. I had to wait to like get on the phone with the person that I had a session with. It definitely helped. It was very helpful. But when I kept praying and asking about the best kind of methodology to use, I was guided to a practice called TAT or TAPAS. And she's got an amazing website with lots of resources. So I'll link it below. And you just pretty much, it's this pose that you hold and you say 9 statements. So it takes 20 minutes about. And I use it I recommend it. See, even just doing it now is so calming. Like, you guys just try it. It's like, oh, I do it with Hayden. And it's acupressure points. We do this one, we do the heart, and then we do this one. And we just hold it, and it just calms everything down. And it allows the mind to just go, okay, I'm going to file some floating memories. And she has amazing testimonials of people who came back from war and ended up no longer having the flashbacks. So I highly recommend it. You can also do it through one of her memberships. She has a membership on there that's very affordable. So you can actually become a light worker who is feeling like very empathetic, or an empath and sensitive, and yet completely functional, and your brain functions perfectly, and there isn't like the effect of all that's happened still floating in your mind constantly. So let me know if this is interesting to you. It's something that I really recommend, that I love to talk about, and just guide people to it. I wish someone had told me about it years ago. I have a couple friends who are therapists in the method who can do sessions with you, but you can also just get it started and do it, and you know get your brain to function really, really well. So that's it. Really, if you're an empath, maybe forward this to anyone you know who's like just always very sensitive, always very like aware. It's such a gift in any company. If you have employees who are super aware, it's very helpful. They can feel what other people feel. They can know, oh, hey, this person isn't feeling well. I mean, if you're a teacher and you work at a school, I don't know, maybe that's a little overwhelming, but you can feel when a kid is just not doing well. And then every feeling we get is a request for information. So, okay, I can feel this person isn't doing well. Let me reach out to them. So, I'm going to tell this story here because I think it's really special. Made me cry. I cried for days. I was in Costa Rica and I met a beautiful young man from Africa, like Côte d'Ivoire, so Ivory Coast. And I'm going to the beach, I'm surfing, I'm like kind of in vacay mode, and we walk by this person who was selling coconuts. His name is Freddie, and he's selling coconuts, these young coconuts for $1, right? And I'm like, oh my God, tell me your story. I stopped because I could feel him, and I could feel in my heart his sadness. I could feel his loneliness, and I could literally still cry from what I was feeling that was coming from him. And he's a refugee from the Ivory Coast to Costa Rica. He had nothing. He would take the bus to go and get his young coconuts and then like try to sell them. And I could tell he wasn't selling many of them. We were like his only customer for the whole day. So, because I was on the beach, right next to where he was standing and sitting. So he's French, right? He speaks French from the Ivory Coast of Africa, and not a lot of English, not a lot of Spanish. So I'm like, how are you even like making your life work right now? But he told me about his dream, and he wanted to start making crepes, French crepes, and he knew that would work better. And I could tell like he had such faith in God. He still was like Christian and believed that things would get better. And he would keep getting on that bus, and my heart would be like, where's your family? And they're not here. They're all the way back in Africa. And I'm like, oh, my heart was just breaking for him. And so I prayed about it, and I had told him, I'm like, I'm gonna fund your business project. I'm gonna give you the money so you can start selling crepes. And I gave him the money. He went and bought all the stuff, and he's been selling crepes on that spot, making 10 times what he was making before. And he's making enough money to fund his other project he wants to do, which is to make smoothies and have a little food truck. And so I'm just so happy that my sensitivity picked up on his just like what he was going through. And I think that's the gift that we all have as humans, is humans are good to each other. You can still experience being around other humans and have it go really, really well, and you can have faith that there are good people out there. Because I know as empaths we have this belief of like fear of rejection, but who's rejecting you? Other people like you. Think that in any room you walk into, there are light workers. In any room you walk into, they're just like you. They're looking for love, and they're looking for safety, and they're one of you. So really just, it's like reprogramming our mind to understand the humans that we think are going to reject us are just like us. And the more we love them, the more we just erase these old beliefs of, I'm not safe being a human, we'll get to come back and have more energy to be in the world. And then we get to help the world kind of transition into this better place, which already is an amazing place. So let's continue to carry the light forward, my friends. Yeah. So yeah, God didn't make an error, and God didn't make a mistake when he made you super sensitive. I get you that the first 30, 40 years of your life may have sucked because you're like, I don't have the manual for this gift. How do I work with this gift? But here we are, we have people online talking about it, giving you tips. and helping you kind of process it. So if you have any questions, leave it below. And I like to help guide what I teach, what I talk about by having people ask me questions. So it's much easier for me. But yeah, she, the friend I was talking with for about an hour felt much more connected back to who she is truly, truly, and what she's here to be in the world, and not fall into the dark, depressive energy. So let's forward this to anyone who need it, and see you guys soon. I'm gonna super quick check if I missed any comments, but I don't think so. Yeah, I think we're good. All right, my beautiful ladies, I will see you all soon next time.